Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would like to welcome you to the last day of NHRA Medical Device Regulation First webinar. Today's module is about post-market surveillance, and it will be presented by Engineer Wissam. A few housekeeping details, and then I will turn things over to our presenter. We have enabled the Q&A box located at the bottom of the screen. Please feel free to raise any questions during and after the presentation, where it will be then answered by the speaker. And in order to take advantage of this time, I would like to kindly encourage you to raise questions that are related to today's module. We will have an interactive session at the end of the webinar, where you will be able to ask the speaker directly by clicking on Raise Hand button. There is no need to take photos of the presentation, as it will be shared after the webinar. At the end of the webinar, we will be having the exam regarding today's module that will be shared as a link in the chat box. Please make sure to click the link as soon as possible, as this link will only be valid for 20 minutes upon ending the webinar. We're delighted to announce that the top 5 candidates will be earning their seats in the Committee of Medical Device Private Market Representatives, where they can take part to set the new regulation with us, while piloting it together to take their valuable feedback into consideration prior to implementation during monthly meeting. All participants will be receiving certificates of attendance, and I hope you benefit as much as possible from this webinar. Please visit GCC MedTech website to get more information about the upcoming event, the first GCC Summit for Medical Devices, agenda and speakers. Now that we're done with our housekeeping, I would like to welcome our speaker, Engineer Wissam. The floor is all yours.
Hello everyone and good afternoon. Welcome to our last webinar. My name is Engineer Wissam and I'm going to talk about post-market surveillance, which includes field safety notice, adverse event report, and complaint report. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the FSN, or field safety notice. Field safety notice are reports sent from the manufacturer either to implement a field corrective action, such as a new instruction to use the medical device or software updates, or it can be a recall to remove the defective medical device from the market. Now, what should you do when you receive a field safety notice? This is a scenario to show you what should you do when you receive a recall from the manufacturer. Once you receive a field safety notice from the manufacturer, you check the end user on your system, then contact them to take the necessary action according to the field safety notice. The end user will collect the defective medical device and return it back to the authorized representative stores. Then the end user should sign acknowledgement and provide it to the authorized representative. The authorized representative should provide the form and documents to NHRA. Then the defective medical device will be returned back to the manufacturer or destructed in Bahrain. Then an evidence should be provided, which is an airway bill or invoice of destruction. These are the required documents that should be submitted in case of field safety notice. This is the form that includes the details about notice issuer, manufacturer details, medical device details, agent, and end user details. In case Bahrain is not affected by the field safety notice, an official letter should be provided from the manufacturer stating that the defective medical device is not being marketed in Bahrain. This letter should be signed and stamped. This is an example of the acknowledgement in case Bahrain market is affected. This acknowledgement is issued from the end user, and it should be signed and stamped, and stating that the field safety notice has been received and the required action has been implemented according to the field safety notice. We usually receive the field safety notice from either the manufacturer or from Gulf Health Council or Saudi FDA, or we sometimes receive it from international agencies such as NHRA in UK, FDA in USA, or Ministry of Food and Drug Safety in Korea. This is an example of evidence of destruction, which is invoice of destruction from the company, or it can be airway bill in case of returning the defective medical device to the manufacturer. Now, according to the severity of the field safety notice, it can be classified into 3 classes. Class 1, which is very high risk field safety notice. It means that the defective medical device can cause serious injury or death. This should be reported during 2 working days. Class 2, which is high risk field safety notice, which means the defective medical device can cause serious injury or temporary illness. This should be reported during 5 working days. Class 3, or moderate risk field safety notice, which is unlikely to cause injury or illness. And this class should be reported during 10 working days. Now, let's take this example to show you the importance of complying with this timeline of reporting. This is a defective infusion pump, which gives wrong doses of medicine, for example, due to manufacturer error. And the manufacturer issued a field safety notice to recall this defective infusion pump. Now, let's think what will happen to the patient if he is still connected to the defective pump because you, as an authorized representative or even a healthcare facility, didn't take the required action to remove and replace this defective pump. The patient's condition will get worse due, for example, to high doses or small doses of medicine, and he could even die. That's why we, as a regulatory authority, should guarantee that the corrective action has been implemented by both authorized representative and healthcare facility to save patients' life. This is an example of a recall that we received from a manufacturer regarding a defective medical device, explaining reasons of recall and the action that should be taken, where the use of this defective device may affect the patient's safety. So we issue a recall circular to all healthcare facilities to stop using this defective device and take the necessary action to remove it and return it back to the authorized representative. Here you can find on our website a list of the recalls and also a list of the field safety corrective actions. And you can find our guideline on post-market surveillance. Now we are going to talk about the adverse event. What is an adverse event, the causes and the results, types, and how to report adverse event. Adverse event is an expected event caused by a medical device that can affect the safety of the patient or user. It can happen due to sudden defect within the medical device, or misuse of the medical device, or even lack of training. Adverse event can lead to wrong diagnosis and treatment. It can cause injury, or it can lead to death. There are 2 types of adverse events, reportable and non-reportable. Reportable adverse events such as serious injuries, death, error or mistake made by the person using the device, or medical device failure. Non-reportable adverse events which didn't cause serious injury or death, or adverse event caused by patient conditions, or the service life of the medical device was exceeded. There are international agencies that publish adverse events and incidents related to medical devices, such as NHRA in UK, FDA in USA, and Saudi FDA. And you can have a membership with these agencies to follow up and to be updated with the latest adverse events worldwide. And you can report any incident caused by a medical device to NHRA at medical_devices@nhra.ph. Now we are going to talk about complaints. Complaints are any written or electronic or oral communication that declares a problem happened related to the quality, safety, effectiveness, or performance of a medical device. We also receive complaints through Tawasul, and we have a complaint department who receive the complaints related to medical devices and transfer them to our department for investigation and follow-up. Now, this is an example of a complaint that we received through Tawasul. We want to show you so that you will know the result of reporting. Even if it seems to be simple from your perspective, but it can have a very big impact on Bahrain market. This kind of gloves, we got a complaint from an end user stating that the gloves are in very bad quality. And when we investigated and got some samples, we discovered that those gloves are being used before. And therefore, in order to protect the rest of the public, we issued a recall, and the importer managed to withdraw all the existing gloves. The second complaint was regarding a hand sanitizer that caused a skin allergy, and when we contacted the manufacturer to provide the safety data sheet, we discovered that it contains one of the prohibited chemicals to be used in hand sanitizer due to its serious side effects on skin, so we recall it from Bahrain market. This is another example we received regarding the quality of a filler being used in a medical center. And when we investigated, we found out that these fillers are counterfeited. They were brought in Bahrain in illegal way by the medical center using it. And therefore, we issued a field safety notice to all healthcare facilities to make sure that they don't use this counterfeited filler, which may affect the patient safety. As you can see the difference between the original and the counterfeited filler. Therefore, to protect Bahrain market from counterfeited medical devices that can be imported from unknown sources, we issued a circular in 2018 to ensure the quality of imported medical devices and compliance with the international standards for the safety of patients and public health. This is the medical device reporting form. You can use it for reporting an adverse event or incident or even complaint. It should be submitted to NHRA with any supportive documents that can help in investigating the problem related to the medical device. The submission can be done through the email, through our email at medical_device@nhra.ph. Now you can understand the importance of medical devices reporting to improve the protection of health and safety of patient users and others, and to reduce the likelihood of same type of problem being repeated in different places and different times. Now, in terms of numbers of recalls done in Bahrain market, in 2018 it was 12, but in 2019 we reached to 28 recall because of the increased amount of the awareness on the level of the authorized representative, where they started to inform NHRA and take actions against the international recalls. There were 3 field safety notices implemented in 2018, but in 2019 it reached up to 20. And that is also due to increased amount of awareness and due to NHRA involvement in GCC level on the post-market surveillance. In 2018, there were only 10 counterfeited medical devices found at the port of entry. However, when we started doing the permit use and random inspection, the amount of counterfeited medical devices found at port of entry and even in Bahrain market reached 49. From this drawing, we can conclude that medical device reporting is not a responsibility of only healthcare facility. It's actually involved several stakeholders. It is a shared responsibility between authorized representative, NHRA, international agencies, patients, manufacturer, and healthcare profession, and it's all aiming towards patient safety and product quality and efficacy. Of the Central Reporting Committee of the Gulf Cooperation Council countries to standardize work procedures and follow-up of field safety notice, NHRA will initiate a national committee including members from healthcare facilities and authorized representatives that are responsible for handling medical devices field safety notice. The aim of this committee is to introduce the role and procedures of NHRA, highlight the role of the key person nominated when receiving the field safety notice, to facilitate the implementation of international standards, and to facilitate the communication and follow-up. Now, kindly be informed that we will have our first committee on 29th September at 10 a.m. The invitations will be sent to you by email. And we will have this committee on Zoom program. And kindly, if you didn't receive your invitation, please send us an email to resend it to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Wissam. Let's move into the question and answer portion of the webinar. Engineer Wissam?
Yes?
Ready?
Yes, dear, ready.
Okay. Due to the present situation, it is sometimes difficult to obtain signed end-user letter for FSN. Is there any alternative in this case?
Yes, if you're facing any delay from providing the acknowledgement from the end user, please contact us or inform us in order to communicate with the end user, or acknowledgement by email, it will be enough. And you put our email in the CC.
Okay. Can you please show the slide of documents required for FSN? It was very quick. I think I had 2 people asking for this. So maybe if you can show us 2 slides, I will combine both questions. The slide for the requirements and also the slide where they can find the link of international reported field safety notices, the FDA.
Okay. This is the checklist of the required documents to be submitted in case of recall or field safety corrective action. It's already on our website. Okay. And the other slide?
Yes, please.
Sorry, the other slide regarding what?
The links where they can find international entities that report the FSN, the FDA, the NHRA.
Yeah, the links are already mentioned in our guideline. They can
Okay,
refer
so
to our guideline. Yeah, they can find the links in our guideline.
Okay. Thank you very much. So maybe you can stop sharing. Thank you. For the complaints, will NHRA issue a guideline for distributors and manufacturers?
Yes, there is a guideline will be issued soon, inshallah, in August, including all details, all requirements, all clarification regarding the adverse event reporting and complaint reporting.
What is the expectation from the authorized representative and manufacturers with regards to complaint? What do you expect them? What is their role?
In case of complaints?
Yes.
Yes,
let's
first
say,
of all,
for example, an end user have complained about a reading that is continuously not accurate for certain or specific type of patients.
Yeah.
What do you expect from the manufacturers and the authorized representatives to do?
Well, once we receive this kind of complaint, we communicate with the authorized representative to check if he has any idea about this issue. Manufacturer also should be informed to investigate about this inaccurate readings and the reasons of this. And we should involve in this investigation and follow-up.
Okay. What is the timeline to report an adverse event? And should the factory contact you or through their authorized representative in Bahrain?
Well, it depends. The communication with the manufacturer will be either directly with us or through the authorized representative. And
But
we will be,
they
we should
have
be in
both
the mailing
options.
group. Yes.
Okay. And is there any timeline? I think you've explained it in your presentation, the timeline based on risk class.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. At which point NHRA has to be notified regarding the FSN? After getting acknowledgement from the end user or soon after receiving the notification from the manufacturer? As
Yeah, it's
usual,
better.
end users take long duration to respond to FSN in spite of frequent follow-up.
Yes, it's better once you receive the field safety notice, you contact us and provide the field safety notice and the field safety form. Then if you're facing any delay in providing the acknowledgement, you can inform us in order to follow up with the end user.
That's a very good news, I think, to most of the manufacturers and representatives. Can an authorized representative in UAE communicate directly with NHRA about an adverse event or a complaint?
Manufacturer in UAE?
No. Can an authorized representative
Yes.
communicate directly with NHRA about an adverse event or a complaint about the device that they have exported?
Yes, sure. Yes. Yes.
Okay. They're asking for the slides. Okay, we will share the slides after the webinar, as we have said. So if you have like a question about the slides, we can open it again. Do adverse events outside Bahrain need to be reported or only the events happening inside Bahrain?
No, inside Bahrain only.
What is the deadline to close the FSN from NHRA side until the goods are returned or destructive? Or
until they provide. No, until they provide an evidence of destruction or returning back to manufacturer.
Okay. Can you please give us an example of what adverse events that are reportable and not reportable?
Yeah, as I mentioned in my presentation, there are two types of adverse events: reportable and non-reportable. Reportable adverse events, for example, injuries or death or mistakes done by using the medical device in not safe way or misuse of the medical device or sudden defect with the medical device. This is should be reported directly to NHRA immediately.
Okay. Let's have the interactive questions from the participants. Yes. Please, if you want to ask the speaker directly, raise your hand and we will enable your mic. If the manufacturer receives a complaint for any medical device that occurred in the, for example, let's say USA, the investigation states that this could result in a potential serious injury. However, there were no recall or FSN initiated. Do we need to report this to NHRA?
If the adverse event happened in USA?
Yes, and it states that the medical device could cause a potential serious injury.
If it happens in USA, there is no need to report to NHRA. only if it happens in Bahrain.
Yes, but if they're saying that worldwide, the incident happened in USA, but the field safety notice is alerting global regulatories that there is a potential harm that might be caused.
Yeah, in this case, we should be involved in this, yes.
Okay. The FSN letter is from the physical or legal manufacturer? That's a new question.
FSN letter? Yeah, it's a new question.
Yeah. Okay, so if there is a field safety notice, normally worldwide, it comes from the legal manufacturer because they're actually the legal entity that is responsible about the device. I think this question was raised because they were confused about letters, relationship letters with the first previous modules, yes. But in this case, it's only the legal manufacturer. In the case of a recall, will NHRA notify also the healthcare facility or will just rely on authorized representatives?
Yes, in case of a recall, we issue a recall circular to all healthcare facilities and all importers to stop using the defective medical device and not importing it anymore.
Okay, I see Yusuf Ismail is raising his hand. So Svetlana, can you please enable his mic? Okay, meanwhile, until Svetlana can enable his mic, is it working?
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Okay. Ma'am, I have a question that today we are discussing the post-market surveillance of the medical devices. But there is one scenario where the product comes to Bahrain, reaches to the warehouse of the authorized representative, and something happens to the device before it goes to the market. For example, it gets damaged or any drainage or for some reason, there's some incident in the medical device before the distribution. How do we tackle that situation?
Before it enters the market?
Before distribution, yes.
Okay, would you like to answer this, Sam, or should I?
Yes, I will answer. Yes, in this case, you follow the same process. You follow the field safety notice form or recall form. And in case the defective medical device in your stores, then you provide us the recommended action by the manufacturer if there is a corrective action to be implemented, or if the manufacturer recommends to return back the defective device to the manufacturer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your valuable question. Okay, let's move to the raised questions. Should we provide in a time manner a list of the affected customers before closing a recall?
List? Yes, will be mentioned in the acknowledgement.
Okay.
When we receive the acknowledgement, we will know the end user, yes.
In case of adverse event for lack of training or misuse, the authorized representative will be responsible or the end user? Let me rephrase the question. What actions will NHRA take if the adverse event was caused by a lack of training?
Well, it is the responsibility for both healthcare facility and the authorized representative. The authorized representative should provide training courses to the users in the healthcare facility, and the healthcare facility should ensure that all the staff know how to use the medical device.
Okay. In case there was a recall for a home use medical device, and in case the patient is not available, who should sign the FSN form acknowledgement? I think they're asking. Okay, what is the process in case that there's a recall of a home use medical devices that is distributed by pharmacies or local showrooms, and they do not have any records of the patient that they've received this device? Do you want me to answer this?
Yes, it's better.
Because we had this case with one of the local distributors. We've asked them if they do not have any records of the end users, because all home use devices are being purchased with the receipt only, and sometimes they don't even write their names if there's no maintenance associated with the device. So we asked the distributor to post on the entrance of their store, on their Instagram, and we also publish it on our website. And if it's for public, we normally take into consideration publishing it in all social media and any method of communication with public. Okay, for the FSN that does not require product withdrawal from market and adjustment, workaround resolve this issue. What do you require, as there will not be any product for destruction? Maybe if you can emphasize more about the slide that you have explained about how this FSN can be closed.
Yeah, this is, I think, by the acknowledgement from the end user in case of no withdrawal required. So in the acknowledgement, it will be stated that the end user received the field safety notice and the required action will be implemented, either if a software upgrade or new instruction for use. This will be mentioned in the acknowledgement from the end user.
Thank you very much, Engineer Wissam. Let's have Mr. Amit Davis. Mr. Amit, you need to unmute.
Assalamu alaikum. This is not Amit. I'm the colleague of Amit. My name is Shadi Qudsi.
Yes,
We've met Engineer Nada in your first conference that you had back maybe 1 year or 2 years ago in Bahrain. Engineer Wissam, we know each other from emails. Nice meeting all of you. I want to thank you first of all for your efforts, and I want to go directly to my question. Obviously, the scope of work for all field safety notices or this session is concentrating on the patients, while I think it needs to be a bit extended to include also the healthcare personnel who is using the machines, because sometimes it's related to his health before the health of the patient. Maybe using a machine that is having some kind of short or something like this. I don't understand so much the words, the engineering words, but I know that it is affecting also the users as it is affecting also the patients.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for this this information. We've actually, in the slides, we've covered some of the causes that an end user is also at risk. It's not only the patient.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. If the authorized representative is no longer existing, then if there is a chance of an adverse event happening, how NHRA will guide the healthcare facility to handle this case? Let's say, for example, there's a device that was purchased in 2000, and the authorized representative that have installed the device and done the training and all of the preparation for the device is no longer existing in Bahrain. And there is an adverse event that happened where an action needs to be taken against the device itself. Will NHRA guide the healthcare facility how to handle this case?
Yes, NHRA, as the healthcare facility should report to NHRA. And our role in this case is to communicate with the manufacturer, investigate about the reasons why this adverse event happened, and follow up with this case. Yes.
Okay. Does NHRA have a library of recall that we can use as a reference?
Yes, and there is a list of recalls and field safety notice in our website.
Can you guide them how to reach to that library?
Yes,
please?
sure. I will show you the slides. This is our website. You can find the list of recalls and list of field safety notice in post-market surveillance section. As you can see here, list of field safety notice and list of recalls. And this is the guideline, post-market surveillance guideline.
Okay, thank you very much, Engineer. I'd like to cover one question that has been raised in a different way by, I think, many of the authorized representatives. If the adverse event happened due to the lack of training or improper handling, how do NHRA handle this kind of adverse events? We're not talking about complaint, we're talking about adverse events, which means patient life was at risk.
Yes, as I said before, it's the responsibility of healthcare facility and the authorized representative to make sure that the user is well trained and know how to use the medical device. In case of lack of training, then the healthcare facility, I think it will report to us and we will investigate about the reasons of not having good training about the medical device.
Okay, and in case of implants, will there be different actions or it's similar to the medical device field safety notices?
In case of implants, recall, you mean recall or adverse event?
Adverse event. It's the same process.
It's the same process, yes.
Yes. Do we need the periodic safety update reports to be presented in any of the cases? It depends, I think, actually on what is the case. Let me just end this webinar, this module, with a very important message. The medical device itself, as the slide that you have shared with us, Engineer Wissam, with all the circles, it is not the responsibility of, you will share it? It's not the responsibility of only the patient or the healthcare facilities. It's actually a shared responsibility. So we all work together. If the authorized representative knows that the end user is using the device with the improper training, or it might cause any damage to the or harm to the patient, it is also the responsibility of the authorized representative to inform NHRA to take some action. We will not go to the extreme level of action where it is legal. We might just simply sort this issue out by making sure that the training records for all the staff or healthcare professions that are using the device is updated. So we all work together to make sure that the device is safe to be used. Engineer Wissam, I would like to ask you just to stop sharing. Yes. I think we have answered most of the questions. Before ending this webinar, we would like to get your feedback by clicking on which module you need to be explained in details in the future event. Please click on the module that you really need to have it explained in details in the future event, inshallah, and we'll try to have live examples as we have done to some of the modules. Okay, we can see the result. Yes, as expected, it's medical device registration because it's a new process. Inshallah, we will try to cover it in detail. I would like to thank all participants for being here today. We really appreciate your time and contribution throughout the 7 days webinar. Thank you, Engineer Wissam. Thank you, all the, I would like to thank also all the speakers. We hope you benefited from each module as we have developed and designed it to carefully clarify each process of medical device regulation in the Kingdom of Bahrain. At the end of the webinar, I would like to remind you to click on the test link shared in the chat box. And the top 5 candidates will be receiving an email from us after Eid, inshallah, to join our upcoming monthly meeting. I think the link is shared now. Please make sure you click on it before we close this webinar. Eid Mubarak to you all, and ma salama. Okay, I think now we can close it.